This is going to be a bad review of a not so great controller, the Cirka wireless controller for PlayStation, PC, or Mac. Um, I needed this controller and I got it because on the box it says that it works for PS3. I actually picked it up from the local brick and mortar that I tend to go to. It's $37, which I think is a bit steep, but I guess, it's supposed to work on like everything. I needed it for PS3, but we're going to kind of look at it from a PS4 stance, which I don't need it for, but I think that it would probably be more useful on the PlayStation 4. The PlayStation 3 aspect, as it says on the back of the box, comes with a kind of asterisk next to it that says only over wired. And that's the reason, honestly, I've returned this controller because $37 for a controller that I don't need is kind of a bit much, really. So, got a USB, micro USB cable here. It says that it's supposed to be 3 feet. I feel like it's not quite that. It seems incredibly short, especially for it to be toting itself as working on the PlayStation 3. But, this might be an okay controller for the PlayStation 4. As we take a look at it, we'll see that it's built about like any other third-party controller would be. And it seems to have a microphone, or at least a speaker, and the lights, the LEDs built in like the PlayStation 4 controller does. The D-pad's terrible. You can mush down all 4 corners at the same time. The sticks are fine. The other buttons feel pretty good. The touch bar is one thing that I think could be a issue, is that there is no touch bar in this controller. But I don't know how many games actually require use of the touch bar in PlayStation games. So it's kind of hit or miss. My biggest thing is I would take it. I'm a little disappointed, and I would take it as false advertising that it works on the PlayStation 3. But we'll kind of get to that towards the end of the video. For now, we'll just take it apart and see what's in it. And like I say, I did return it, so some of the footage towards the end of the video could have been better. It's why I say that it's a terrible review of a not so great controller. For now, though, we'll just take it apart and see what it's got going inside of it. It's just simple Phillips screws, nothing special, and it comes apart quite easily. It doesn't have a hidden screw under the sticker or anything like that. And the build quality is okay. Like, they tend to use cheaper materials in these controllers, but it feels all right. You can tell it's kind of lightweight, but they didn't try to fake it or anything. Once I get in here, there's no like added weights or anything. It does have vibration, but the biggest concern that I really have is in this touchpad with the buttons. I think that this controller might have the 3 clicks, so if you're looking at it for a PlayStation controller, it might work for that, but it does not have a touch bar. It's just got a piece of plastic, just kind of tacked, double-sided tape to the touch bar part. So let's take a look at a PS4 controller, and we're going to time-lapse the snot out of taking it apart, because we're not really here for that. But what we are looking for is to see what the touch bar looks like. So as we get to that, it's taking apart a PS4 controller is a little bit more complex, as you can probably guess from the time lapse. You have to take apart stuff from the back. It's got ribbon cables connecting the back plate to the board and the front plate, and it's kind of a convoluted mess. But we'll take a look at this touch bar, since again, I really wanted this controller for a PlayStation 3 controller, and it's not functional as that. Not in the case that I need it anyway. It might serve its purpose for a PS3 controller if you want to run a wired controller for your friend or something. And even in that case, I don't know who would want to use a quote-unquote 3-foot USB cable to do that. But here we can pop off the plastic part of the PlayStation 4 bar, and we can see that there's all kinds of circuits and stuff in there to allow for touch sensitivity. It just doesn't exist in the Cirka controller. So it's not fully functional there, and it's not fully functional for the PlayStation 3 either. And again, we'll get to that sort of towards the end of the video, because I got something that I think is pretty neat to show everyone. But yeah, overall build quality is not bad. It's definitely made very cheaply, and I think that I haven't looked, but I'm sure that on like Amazon or something, this controller would probably go for like 15 bucks. Maybe, I don't know. I probably should look that up, and then I'll add some text over this part when I get to it and let you know if I can find this controller on Amazon and how much it goes for on there. Because I do feel like $37 is really steep for a third-party controller. Yeah, the buttons and stuff feel fine. The joysticks feel fine. I'm sure that it would do okay, but again, I went in, I told the cashier or the worker that was at the brick and mortar I went to, I need a PS3 controller, and he hands me this thing. And needless to say, I was quite disappointed because it seemed like he didn't have anything else in stock. I actually looked at my wife with great big old bug eyes like, oh, that's really steep for a crap controller. And then I went for it, and well, needless to say, I was disappointed because it doesn't work on PlayStation 3, but we'll take a look at it anyway. And I took it back and swapped it for a different controller. That thing is a whole different video for sure. But this one seems pretty good. The battery's on a tray, and you actually have the ribbon cable run into the back plate of the controller for the LED light. Again, I didn't test this on the PS4 because I bought it for a PlayStation 3 controller because my buddy just gave me a old PlayStation 3. I feel like I have too much tech stuff, but I've always taken care of my tech stuff, and he does not. So I think he had like 3 PlayStation 4s because he killed them all, and I know for a fact he's got 2 Wii's, and he's had at least 2 PlayStation 2s and 2 PlayStation 3s. The dude is I don't know, he's not good with tech. So, but that's it. I mean, seems pretty well put together for what it is. I'm sure it would serve its function at a pinch, but I think you could probably get a PlayStation 4 controller as a replacement PlayStation 4 controller pretty easily, and I don't really think that would be a problem for anybody. But if you couldn't, this one might serve its purpose. I wish I could say better than that, but I can't because I didn't test it on PS4 or PS5. That's all I really know to say is I wanted it for PS3 and was highly disappointed by that. It only works over USB, allegedly, but it doesn't serve the full function of a PS3 controller. And again, we're getting ready to talk about that here in just a second. So we're putting the controller back together. And I know this is a pretty terrible voiceover, but I have procrastinated the crap out of this video. And I'm looking much more forward to the other controller that I got to replace this one to talk about, because I feel like I've got way more to say about that one. This one was kind of in and out of circulation. We'll make a video about it. We'll talk about it and say that I really wouldn't recommend it. And that's mostly just because I feel like I was falsely advertised. In a way, it doesn't work on PlayStation 3. So that's kind of what it is. I didn't actually get any footage of it not working on PlayStation 3 either. So because I got rid of it, I don't have it anymore. What we'll do is we'll look at what I found out. I put 2 and 2 together here. It works over USB. All right, let's see what we can do with a regular PlayStation 4 controller. And it works. It works okay. It's like 95% of the way there. All the buttons and stuff work. So if you really need to navigate through an old PlayStation 3 or something in a pinch, you can use a PlayStation 4 controller on your PlayStation 3. But there's, again, it's like 95% there. And as we'll see here in just a little bit, I do play some of the game and kind of time lapse and cut some of this out just because I don't want to waste any more of anyone's time with it. We'll see that it does work. Then if you don't believe me, and if you got a PlayStation 3, you're more than welcome. Well, if you got a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation 4, you're more than welcome to try it for yourself. It does work. USB cable, and it works like, I'm going to still say 95% of the way there. And that's because the PS button, and neither the PS button or the touchpad function as the PS button on PS3, which is fairly critically important for a PlayStation 3 controller. That's how you would quit games, or how you would switch discs on these older games, like the older PlayStation 1 games, or get into the menu to adjust settings on those older PlayStation 1 games that you can play on the PlayStation 3. And so that's a really important feature in my opinion, and the number one reason why I decided to return the Cirka PS4, 5, 3, PC, Mac, jack of all trades PlayStation controller is because it's only 95% there, and I didn't have a controller at all for the PlayStation 3, so it's not fully functional. And as you can see here, mash the snot out of the PS button and the touchpad and nothing happens. Everything else works fine, but I can't quit the game. I couldn't switch discs if I wanted to or anything, so it's not fully functional, and it's not something that I need. And that's really about it. The PS4 does the same thing as the Cirka controller did. Unfortunately, I've already taken that controller back, and before I took it back, the main concern that I had was getting rid of it because I didn't want $37 gone to waste for a controller I didn't need. But it does do the exact same thing as the PlayStation 4 controller does. And that's really pretty much it. Maybe someone found this video somewhat helpful. If you need to like navigate around on an old PS3 and you got a PS4 controller laying around, it will work over USB, surprisingly. That's pretty much it though. Hope everyone is doing well. Remember to be safe and be good, and I hope to catch you in the next one.